Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by FanSided MLB insider Robert Murray, and we bumped today's show up from a pre-record to a live stream, and I'm glad we did. Did anything happen last night, today? Kyle Tucker chooses the Los Angeles Dodgers last night, followed by everyone questioning how far Steve Cohen will go, whether he has a rage spend in him, whether he'll hop into the Cody Bellinger market, what the Blue Jays might do. How does this all factor in with Bo Bichette likely ticketed for the Phillies, according to Ken Rosenthal? Well, not so much. To the Mets, 3 years, $126 million. There's an opt-out in there. Man, it is really not that expensive in the long. AAV, yup. $300 million commitment? I don't think so. Robert Murray, welcome to the show to help me break all this down. We appreciate everybody joining us. Sometimes Bo Bichette throws a wrench in your game plan like 30 seconds before air, and this is a lot to process.
Yeah, this is crazy. I did not sleep much last night, believing that Bo was on the verge of signing. Did not have it going to the Mets, though. But Tucker signed, Bo Bichette signed, all within a matter of about 12 to 18 hours. I can't wait to break it all down. Adam Weinrib, how are you? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I am good. I am generationally confused. And yeah, as the comments are saying, I'm certainly not going to come down on the side of, well, the other owners could just spend what the Dodgers are doing. It's that easy. Everyone else could just do this if they wanted to. No, they can't. And $120 million, including the luxury tax on Kyle Tucker for just next season, I wouldn't call that a prudent move. I would call that the kind of thing that is undoubtedly an overpay, is not going to provide the surplus value that they're hoping for to any other team. But for the Dodgers, it's a drop in the bucket. They can do it. They should. That doesn't mean I have to enjoy it. However, thanks for joining us. Come and join us in the Baseball Insiders Discord, where you can talk to us and ask us questions between shows. We have an all-star Q&A, the all-star tier on Thursday afternoons at 3 p.m. Eastern. We are live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Again, the Friday show usually goes up in the evening. Today, we had to hop on. We had to talk about Kyle Tucker. And now Bo Bichette. And then Cody Bellinger, what happens there? Where does the bidding war escalate? A lot of people thought it'd be the Mets and the Yankees. That feels less plausible now. But again, Steve Cohen in rage mode. I guess we can't rule anything out. The Dodgers and Tucker didn't seem plausible either until it happened. Let's talk about it. The thing on everybody's lips, the Willie Castro Rockies signing. Now, the Dodgers got their man. You got the terms, 4 years, $240 million. There's an opt-out in there. Everybody got mad. What can you tell us about last night?
That it was madness. It seemed all throughout the day that a signing was going to happen some point in the nighttime. And all of a sudden, you got the sense that things were getting pretty imminent about 20 to 30 minutes before news actually broke. And then all of a sudden, I found out it was not the Mets, and the indications were that it was the Los Angeles Dodgers. And it comes back to a couple of things that I've said on previous podcasts. One is when the Dodgers pursue a star player, how often do they miss? Never. And two, it's like we kept hearing all about the Mets' offers, kept hearing that the Jays were in long-term, but we never heard anything about where the Dodgers were at. And that made me wonder, okay, like, is there more to this than what we're seeing here? And lo and behold, it absolutely is. And now Kyle Tucker is a Los Angeles Dodger. 4 years for $240 million is one of the biggest deals in baseball history. It's one of the biggest deals, honestly, in sports history. It's absolutely massive. It's a tremendous deal for the player. Great work by them all around on that. Bo Bichette will be playing third base for the Mets. So it's a funny typo by John there, Dorses. But anyways, this one, the Dodgers had the best bid. The Mets, as reported, was about 220. I've heard different things about the Jays' bid, but I don't believe like it was anywhere close to that. So obviously the Jays did not get him, and now the Jays have lost out on Tucker, and then they lost Bo Bichette here now to the Mets. And you wonder how exactly they could end up pivoting here. And that's a question that organization needs to answer real quickly here. They've been very aggressive this offseason, so no matter what they're doing, they'll be fine. But that's a blow for that organization there, but a huge move for the Dodgers.
And we are definitely going to be talking about the Jays pivot shortly, but I think it was logical to think after Tucker goes down, okay, now they can re-engage with Bo Bichette, and the Red Sox want him, and we know that, and the Phillies thought they were close, it would seem, Ken Rosenthal, was saying last night, as recently as last night, that he believed that was the likeliest destination, the Don Mattingly connection and all that. Report leaked out this morning that Bichette was maybe a little concerned about playing the rest of his career on turf. You won't have to worry about that now. No matter how close he was to the Phillies, all of a sudden, this $300 million ask, this long-term request from Bo Bichette goes by the wayside. He takes the 3-year offer with the Mets to play third base, $42 million AAV. It's massive. It's hard to deny that, but it has no resemblance to the deal that we were told that Bo Bichette was seeking earlier in the offseason. And so it does make you wonder, okay, what do we know about Cody Bellinger? That he wants 7 years. It can be, wanting things and acquiescing to something else. It could be a totally different circumstance. Bo Bichette wanted $300 million. He's getting 42 a year for the next 3 years to play for a team we didn't even really know was connected to him. So what can you tell us about this fit? Obviously, we just found out about it, but how much further does Steve Cohen go? Does he pivot to pitching now and keep that outfield hole? Or does he just, no rules, Freddie Peralta and Cody Bellinger, Framber Valdez and Cody Bellinger? I mean, where does it stop for the Mets?
No, this is when they lost on Tucker. Is when you saw Steve Cohen tweet what he did yesterday, it showed that they were absolutely very serious on Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
And that, to me, losing out on Tucker was a blow for the for the Mets here. They offered 4 for $220, which is $55 million a year. That's a huge offer. And not getting him, it was clear that they had to pivot in some regard. But everyone that I was talking to around the game, and my phone's been active since about 3 or 4 o'clock this morning. So it's been a very busy morning in these fronts, but nobody knew exactly where the Mets were going to pivot, because everybody that I was speaking to thought that Bichette was going to Philadelphia. That was one that there was times last night I thought it was done. Obviously, that's not even remotely close to the case. But the Mets had to make a splash of some sort. They get Bichette here. So they've added Bichette and they've added Marcus Semien to the infield here. And Bichette's obviously, he's not known as the best defender in the infield by any means. And it kind of goes against what David Stearns has said about prioritizing the defense. But as far as a back goes, as far as a player goes, that's a tremendous option for him. And it's a short-term deal. Relatively not much risk. I mean, obviously, when you sign a player for potentially $126 million, there is some risk there. But as far as a short-term contract goes, I think the Mets did very well here. But this cannot be the only solution for them. They have to keep going, whether that's adding another bat or if it's going out and getting Freddie Peralta, who obviously David Stearns knows very well from his time in Milwaukee, or if it's going out and getting another starting pitcher of some sort as well. So big move for the Mets, but I don't expect them to be done.
It makes your mind spin. Brett Beatty now out of a job. In theory, Ken Rosenthal just said he could move to first base. Yeah, he could, but what is more realistic? Brett Beatty moves to first base, or Brett Beatty or Mark Vientos and Jet Williams is flipped to Boston for Jarren Duran or Willie Abreu? The trade possibilities feel endless now too, rather than the Mets just settling and saying, well, I guess Brett Beatty's our first baseman, and I guess we're entering opening day. Glad we took care of that Bo Bichette thing. The Mets are going to make, I would think, several more adjustments to the roster from here, and it could be pitching pivot, and like you said, it could be an extra bat. So the Cody Bellinger of it all, he waited. He wants that 7 years, so we think. The Yankees are at 5 years with multiple opt-outs and what I think Yankee fans would call an overpay, a rational overpay, though. Not a $42 million a year, not a $50 million a year. 31, 32 is what we've been led to believe. It's too much money. It's an offer that does make sense, though. But as soon as Tucker happened, everyone in the Yankees landscape pivoted to how much money did Cody Bellinger just make himself. The Mets spending on Bo Bichette makes it seem a little less likely that that's where they go next, but not impossible. The Phillies now all of a sudden don't get Bo Bichette. Could they just go right to 7 years? Could the Blue Jays go right to 7 years? These aren't teams that have really been connected to Bellinger, but these are teams that are now frustrated, and Bellinger is a player who's still on the market, and he's probably excited to still be on the market. Your thoughts on where he goes and what the timeline is?
Yeah, I mean, obviously now with Tucker and Bichette going off the board, he's the clear number one option here for any team here, especially on the free agent market. And he's always made the most sense here for the Yankees. I still think that's the best opportunity for him. I think it's the best chance for him to where he ends up. I'm not surprised it hasn't happened yet because there has been that gap in negotiations for sure. But he's obviously in a tremendous position here, whether he gets 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, or if he ends up opting for a short-term deal. Because, I mean, look, like Tucker ended up getting $60 million per year. You have Bichette now getting $42 million. There's an absurd amount of money here on short-term contracts, and taking a short-term deal, and maybe you can get that with the Yankees. You have another year or two of playing in that ballpark if you're Bellinger. That's not necessarily the worst thing in the entire world by any means. I still think that's his best chance. I think that's where he ends up, but there's going to be other teams lurking here because there's other teams, not necessarily with Bellinger, but with other players who are starting to poke around to see what kind of opportunities are around here. So I think that's something to watch here in the coming days and coming weeks.
Yeah, and okay, here's where we get to the place, I think, just briefly on the whole, Dodgers of broken baseball thing. And I do think a lot of people, maybe not people watching the stream obviously want to know what happens next, but I do think a lot of baseball fans are pretty disillusioned by seeing the way this played out, the fact that the Dodgers seemed like the third fiddle here. And then all of a sudden, not only were they extremely involved, but they had a $60 million per year deal for Kyle Tucker, which becomes 120 with the luxury tax. The Dodgers lose 4 draft picks for signing Tucker and Edwin Diaz, and they don't care at all, and they have the number 1 farm system in baseball. Now, that is the mark of a model organization, but I would argue that the ingenuity is not really the Dodgers thing. You can trace the money back to all of the things that they do well. Ohtani taking a contract that no other superstar would take because of his global impact. You'll never see anyone take that much deferred money ever again. Then from that point, the Dodgers ownership group, which has unparalleled spending power, can funnel that into research and development, can funnel that into training, can player dev, and then honestly purchase an entire rotation, purchase MVP after MVP. I don't blame the Dodgers for doing this. It's within the rules of the game. They're ahead of whatever the 2027 lockout ends up looking like. But I am tired of people telling other teams, even other teams with big budgets, that they could do, your owner could do this if he wanted to. Your owner could not do this if he wanted to. And I think that's the important distinction. Yes, the Dodgers are not doing anything illegal, but they are doing something that other owners cannot participate in. And the winning year after year, it's just really hard to argue against signing with the Dodgers right now if they're in the ballpark with the other team that you're negotiating with. And they often are.
Oh, for sure. Like they're involved. Anytime there's a star player out there in free agency or even on the trade market, they can go out and get that player no matter what. Like they've shown an ability, whether it's Mookie Betts on the trade market, Freddie Freeman, now Kyle Tucker, Shohei Ohtani. I can't believe he's the 4th person that I mentioned here, but that's the reality here. Is the Dodgers, when they go big game hunting, they hardly ever miss. And you're spot on, is that there's no other team, I mean, for the most part, can replicate this. It's a very unique thing that the Dodgers do, but it's part of what makes them so good is they have an ownership group that's willing to spend. You have a tremendous brand with the Dodgers. You have a team that can win a World Series no matter what, like year in and year out, basically at this point. You can look at that roster and you can honestly make the case that it could be the National League All-Star team. It is that good. It is that crazy. It's obviously going to be a tremendous talking point here come the CBA negotiations. I've already seen a bunch of people talk about a salary cap. I don't think that's the best route here by any means. I think there's other things that are more pressing, but it's definitely the case where the Dodgers have such a unique brand and such a unique opportunity that they can just do whatever they want. And teams can't really do much about it because it's impressive. And I can okay, I've seen Tucker get compared to Kevin Durant. I've seen Tucker get crushed for joining the Dodgers.
I think I compared him to Kevin Durant too, personally, just hand up. It's a little Durant-y.
No, and trust me, that thought popped into my head too. But let's say you're Kyle Tucker. You have an opportunity to join the Dodgers. You have an opportunity to win a World Series at least once, twice, maybe 3 times in LA. You're also making $60 million while doing so, while playing on a star-studded roster like that. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I couldn't turn it down. I don't think you could turn it down. I can't fault him by any means. I'm curious to see the exact structure of that deal because there's a huge signing bonus there. So part of me wonders if we see a very low base salary in year one. I think that's something that could make some sense there, but I can't fault him at all. I would have done the same thing. And honestly, good for Kyle Tucker because $60 million becoming, what is it, the second highest AAV in baseball. Good for you, Kyle Tucker. That's freaking awesome.
It's deeply odd to see him go somewhere where he's going to be the fourth most important hitter in that lineup, fifth most, but making $60+ million per year. Yeah, good for Kyle Tucker. And by the way, Yankee fans asking why the Yankees are willing to pay Cody Bellinger $30 million, and why wouldn't you just get involved in Kyle Tucker? He made double that per year, and so that's why they didn't get involved on Kyle Tucker. It's a different universe. It's rarefied air. On to the Red Sox, too, because we have Red Sox questions. I want to make sure that we address them. They were a team that we had mentioned as a Bo Bichette destination on this podcast. Felt like a logical one, even after they, do the Ranger Suarez pivot instead. They've got an outfield surplus. They have a pitching surplus. I can't imagine they leave this offseason without another bat. We were talking about Bregman and Schwarber, Bregman and Alonso. That has become Wilson Contreras and question mark. And I don't think Brett Beatty or Ronnie Mauricio will do it for that. Doesn't get you where you want to go. It would be interesting additions, but it's not the same game. Do you expect that the Red Sox will make a high-profile offensive addition even after losing out on Bo Bichette?
To me, the solution here would be trading from that outfield surplus and doing that to try to get an infielder of some sort. I don't know who it could necessarily be. Maybe they could try to circle back on Ketel Marte. Paredes with the Astros could make some sense. There's a few other options that they could explore. Nico Horner is another name that's been mentioned in trade rumors. So there's options here for them to consider, and we've seen Craig Breslow be plenty aggressive here on the trade market. So I don't think you can necessarily rule anything out here by any means. But make no mistake, the Red Sox were very interested in Bo Bichette. That is fact. They did not get him. And they had a lot of interest in Bregman, didn't get him. They had interest in Bichette, did not get him. Obviously, they've made some moves here in free agency through the trade market, but still, like, if you're the Red Sox, you should be making more moves than this. I don't know what they're going to necessarily do. But yeah, you watch Bregman go to the Cubs, you watch Bichette now go to the Mets. That's a hard pill to swallow if you're the Red Sox. But there's an opportunity for them to salvage this.
The one move we haven't really spoken about yet, to the Tarek Skubal of it all. Fans already sort of pre-complaining about the destiny of the inevitable Skubal to the Dodgers rumors, whether it's a trade, whether it's a signing, whatever it may be. That could officially be the harbinger of the lockout. Do you think there is any chance that the Tigers revisit trade talks there before the season starts based on the agitation and aggression in the arbitration room? Or is that a concern for next winter?
I think it's a concern for next, or maybe the trade deadline. They'll obviously listen. That's something that all teams have to do on their players. But I can't see the Tigers being in a hurry to move Skubal. Obviously, the arbitration filing, there was an interesting report in the Detroit media about that entire process. I can't remember who wrote it, but it was a really good story on how exactly that entire process played out. But I don't expect him to be moved now. If the Tigers are out of contention come the trade deadline, then I think that conversation can be had. But if he reaches free agent, if let's say he's not traded and he reaches free agency, that's I can't see a world where the Tigers are able to retain him. So it feels like no matter what, this is probably Skubal's last year in Detroit. And then the bidding war for him is going to get crazy. And I mean, he's a star player. He's one of the best pitchers in modern history. You got to expect the Dodgers are going to be involved. I know that's it's way down the line, but you got to think that's going to be coming at some point.
Anything else that you're waiting for today or before Monday's show in terms of staying up all night, checking for those updates? We appreciate everyone joining us. We will be back on Monday afternoon at 3:30 Eastern time. And the weekend could get nuts. Monday is a holiday. We're going to have to find some time next week to get on board. But yeah, what a wild weekend. I'm sure the weekend is going to be just as insane.
Yeah, I'm already bracing for a busy weekend, a lot of stuff going on here. And I'm already prepared for very little sleep. But I can say that regarding a guy like, let's go with JT Realmuto here. Philadelphia is interested, obviously. You have other teams who have been in the mix. We've seen the Red Sox connected there. Some other teams here as well. I've gotten the impression that there's a couple other teams that are interested. I don't know the identities, but it seems like there's some teams that are slowly kind of like checking back on that. So I'm curious to see what exactly that it could entail. But he is drawing plenty of interest besides Philadelphia here.
Interesting. All of this is extremely interesting. That's all we've got is stroking the chin and having to deal with the reality that the Mets and Dodgers are certainly competing at a level that I think most teams are not. And yeah, Bob Nightingale did report the Phillies met Bo Bichette's ask for $200 million, and then the Mets swooped in after losing Tucker last night and finalized a very different looking deal. I fully believe that.
No, I believe it too. Like the Phillies really like Bo, and Bo liked the Phillies. And that to me, if you would ask me last night, I would have told you I was 99% sure that Bo was going to be a Philly, if not already. And this morning, I didn't get anything that kind of led me in a different direction there. And then all of a sudden, right as we're hopping onto the show here, Adam tells me Bichette to the Mets, and I thought it was a joke. I thought he was. I'm like, dude, because I thought I was breaking Bo, and then all of a sudden, yeah, that obviously did not end up happening. He's now a Met, and that's turned the entire baseball world upside down. My text messages right now are just going berserk. I'm up to 46 unread texts, so it's going to be a very busy time. And yeah, I can't wait to dive into my phone. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get another thing today. I'll say that.
How about that? Well, please join us next week. We'll talk about more. Join us in the Discord for the Baseball Insiders. Take care of your inboxes, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Take care, buddy.